You guys said that Aiden Hutchinson is the best edge rusher in his class. Survey says... Ooh, so close. Hello everyone, the other day I said I would tell y'all who the best edge rusher in this class is, and just in case you can't read the title of the video, it's Kayvon Thibodeaux from Oregon. He is projected to be a top 5 pick in the draft. At one point he was considered not only the best edge rusher in the class, but a lock for the first overall pick. Lately it has been Aiden Hutchinson receiving all of that hype. Travon Walker has been getting the same hype too lately, but I think Hutchinson has a better chance of being selected first overall. Regardless of which player has a better chance of being selected first, I don't think either one of them should be picked over Kayvon. I think he is a much better prospect. In fact, I think he is the second best prospect in the entire draft, behind Evan Neal from Alabama. But honestly, you can make a case for either player being the best prospect in the draft. But the point is, Kayvon Thibodeaux is the best edge rusher in his class, and today I'm going to break down what makes him so good. But before I do that, 98% of you guys that watch my videos are not subscribed. You guys can change that by subscribing to this channel and turning on the notifications so you know when I upload a video. I would also appreciate if you guys gave this video a like. It helps my channel out a lot. Alright, let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about with Kayvon is his athleticism. If you don't remember what Kayvon's Ross chart looks like, here it is. He has a 9.63 score, which is the 8th best among defensive ends. As you can see from this list, Aiden Hutchinson and Travon Walker have better Ross scores, which means they are more athletic than Kayvon. But should that be something that hurts Kayvon? A 9.63 Ross score? Of course not. He is still pretty athletic for his position. Sure, he may not be as athletic as Walker and Hutchinson, but athleticism isn't always everything. Brian Johnston has the highest raw score among defensive ends with a 10. I guarantee you that before this video, or hell, even before my Travon Walker video, y'all had no clue who he was. To be honest, neither do I, and there's a good reason for it. Remember when I said it is rare for an athletic defensive end to fail in the NFL? Well, Brian Johnston is that rare case, as he only lasted 1 year with the Chiefs, then was claimed off the waivers by the Lions, but failed his physical and didn't make the team. Then he signed a futures contract with Miami, which only lasted a year. Then played in the UFL for 1 year and then the Arena Football League for another before calling it quits. The point is, you do not have to have the best athleticism in your group to be considered the best. First step explosion is one of Kayvon's best traits, or as I like to call it, burst off the line. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, I think these clips will help explain. As you can see, Kayvon always seems to time the snap perfectly. He immediately gives offensive linemen trouble as soon as the ball snaps. Sometimes he doesn't need to use any block shedding moves, which I will talk about later. His burst off the line usually helps him get to the quarterback, and it should translate very well into the NFL. His first step explosiveness is so insane, and the best in the draft. Aiden Hutchinson does have really good burst off the line. It is my favorite thing about him, and I failed to talk about this in my last video, but Travon Walker does have pretty good bursts off the line, which is not surprising considering he has insane speed. Now you can say that the only reason Kayvon's burst off the line is more effective is that he plays against weaker competition than Hutchinson and Walker do, but if Kayvon played the same competition as both of them do, his burst off the line would still be really effective. I just don't think anyone's gonna convince me Aiden and Travon's first step explosion is better than Kayvon's. Well, okay, you can maybe make a case for Aiden Hutchinson, but I still think Kayvon has better bursts off the line than him. Kayvon Thibodeaux is a very effective block shedder. I already talked about how sometimes his first step explosion is good enough for him to get by an offensive lineman, which you guys already saw. But trust me, he does more than just run by an offensive lineman. If that wasn't the case, this video wouldn't exist. He uses a good combination of both finesse and power moves. His power is good enough to push an offensive lineman back, and he has some really good finesse moves. Even though he is very good at shedding blocks, he sometimes gets locked up and can't disengage disengage from blockers, but that is not too big of a concern for me. Once he gets into the NFL and gets proper coaching, he will be better at shedding blockers than he already was. That's a terrifying thought, to be honest. The only prospect that comes close to his ability to shed blockers is, you guessed it, Aiden Hutchinson. He has really good power and finesse moves, but my problem with him is he tends to get locked up more than Kayvon does and tends to be stiffer. But Hutchinson still will be a really good block shedder in the NFL, just not better than Kayvon. Trayvon Walker already talked about his block shedding skills in my previous video, but if you don't feel like watching that video, he basically is only a power rusher and doesn't really have great finesse moves. No one is better than Kayvon at shedding blockers in this class. The one thing that has hurt Kayvon's draft stock is his quote-unquote effort. Some teams have concerns, let me just say this, that is complete bullshit. Kayvon does have some things to work on, but his effort is not one of them. Let me show you a few clips. This first clip will show him getting pancaked, but watch what he does while he's still on the ground. That does not look like a lazy effort to me. You're not convinced? Okay, take a look at what happens when he has one arm available. Does not look like something someone with bad effort does. Really? You still aren't convinced? Okay, take a look at what happens when he fails to cover a running back. Still do not see any poor effort. I legit do not know why his effort is getting questioned. I know he is not a perfect prospect. If you ask me, perfect prospects don't exist. But poor effort was never something that stood out to me while watching his film, and it still doesn't. So you can see why I have high hopes for Kayvon. He is insanely talented and does not have any flaws. And the flaws he does have aren't major deal breakers. One flaw I failed to mention is he does not read quarterback options and zone reads well. That really isn't a concern because it's not something the majority of the NFL teams will run. And he wasn't awful at it. Do you see what I mean? His flaws aren't deal breakers. And the stuff he needs to work on isn't difficult to fix at the next level. He has the highest ceiling out of everyone in the edge rusher group. But even though I compare Kayvon and Aiden and showed how much better Kayvon is, having Aiden Hutchinson as your edge rusher 1 is not bad. Just ignore my intro where I said that was wrong. He has the highest floor, and his ceiling is high too. Aiden is a really good edge rusher, and whatever teams have to decide between both won't make a terrible decision. But I still stand by that Kayvon Thibodeaux should be selected over Aiden Hutchinson, and the fact that he is a top 2 prospect. And that is all I have to say about Kayvon Thibodeaux. Let me know if you guys agree with me or not. I am curious to know what you guys think about him and who you think the best edge rusher in this class is and why. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys later. Peace.